One of the most important techniques used in data analysis is to examine how data changes over time. By observing these changes, we can draw conclusions, make informed decisions, and plan with greater certainty. To enable this, Devo Activeboards offers flexible tools for managing dates and time ranges, both fixed and real-time, all of which we'll cover in this video. There are two ways to set a time range in an Activeboards workspace. You can use the general time range control that applies to all widgets in the workspace. Or, for individual widgets, you can assign a custom time range which applies only to the widget itself and overrides the general Activeboards setting. When a widget has a custom time range, its title bar displays this icon. Both types of time ranges work exactly the same way. The only difference is the widgets that they affect. Let's take a closer look at the types of time ranges we can set and how they can affect the data displayed depending on how a widget uses time in its query. First, we can set an absolute time range with fixed start and end dates and times. A widget that doesn't display group events, in other words, its query doesn't contain a group by clause, will simply display all events whose event date value falls within the specified range. However, a widget that does group events will display aggregated data based on its query's grouping period. If the time range's start date doesn't coincide perfectly with the grouping period, the widget's first group may appear with a time that falls just before the time range's start date. However, the group's aggregated value will only be based on the events that fall within the time range. Similarly, if the widget's query uses a grouping period that's greater than the selected time range, the widget will display a single group, but again, only using data from the events that fall within the selected time range. Finally, if a widget is based upon a query that doesn't group by time and instead groups events by some other field, it will display only the results for the values of that field. Although no time references will be visible in the widget itself, the aggregated values will be based on events that fall within the active time range. As we mentioned before, a custom date range defined for a single widget works in the same way. The second type of time range is a relative range, which you can select easily by using the list of preset intervals. These ranges are relative to now and let you look back on common time intervals. Though the time range is set relative to now, it is also absolute in the sense that the start date is sometime in the past and the end date is now. It affects how widgets display their data in exactly the same way as the absolute time ranges. The third type of time range is a moving window updated in real time. We can turn on the relative range into real time by clicking the play button in the calendar control. To stop it, just click it again. All widgets affected by the time range will display the real-time icon in their title bar. How does this affect queries that don't group events? Every 15 seconds, the query is rerun and the widget is updated with the new data. And what about queries that group by some time interval? These widgets are updated depending on the size of their grouping period. For grouping periods less than 5 minutes, the queries are left to run continually, and the data is uploaded in real time. However, for widgets with grouping periods of 5 minutes or larger, the queries are launched at intervals equal to the grouping period. Let's summarize the 3 types of time ranges you can apply to your Activeboards and to individual widgets. Absolute time ranges are defined by the user with specific and fixed start and end times. Relative time ranges are set using the preset interval controls and use the current time as the end date and look back over the period specified. Relative real-time ranges are set using the preset intervals and when activated, create a moving window that updates based on the grouping period in the widget's query. Thank you for watching this Devo video, and be sure to check out the rest of our exciting videos.